Hello out there, YouTubers, and welcome to PE Slick Podcast. I'm your host, Matt here. Each week I'm going to bring you something different in terms of leadership, ministering, entertainment, book authoring, and much more. But before we begin each time, I'm going to be airing a classic throwback commercial from back in the 80s or 90s or 2000s for my personal liking. Stay tuned.
Lunch?
I grabbed a pizza.
Lunch?
I grabbed a burger.
The American Dietetic Association says vegetables are an important part of a balanced diet.
Lunch?
I grabbed a hot dog.
No vegetables? Have a V8.
When you can't get to eat vegetables, you can drink them. One delicious glass of V8 juice provides a serving of vegetables.
Thanks for putting me straight, Laura.
Drink V8. Keep your diet straight.
And we're back. Joining me this week on my PE Slick podcast is a Mr. Eric Holmes. And no, I don't mean Homer Simpson. He is actually Eric Holmes. Eric Holmes is a good buddy of mine who I met through my friend Dominic Brightman. He is a local book author. And I am proud to have him on my podcast this week. How are you doing today, Eric?
I'm good, Matt. All is good and all is well. I'm honored and humbled to be a part of, your Slick podcast and just to share and just the great connection and the great fellowship, for the great connection through even Dominic. So I'm honored and I'm humbled and all is good. All is well.
That's good, man. And I got to definitely send a shout out because Eric was on front of the Upwards magazine and has a radio show. Where are you from?
I am originally from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Moved here over 26 years ago. And this is home now. Well, Harrisburg will always be home, but I've been here for the last 26 years.
Okay. All right. So from you being from Harrisburg, are you a Pittsburgh fan?
I am. Of course, I like the Ravens. No, I like the Ravens here, but when you're from home is always going to be home. You know what I mean? Before I knew of the Ravens, I knew of the Steelers, but I am so proud that the Ravens are doing such a phenomenal job, and living here in the city, we definitely got to support our own.
Right. Who or what would you consider probably be an influence on your life growing up?
Growing up, of course, my mother who transitioned 4.5 years ago. Of course, my oldest sister, Paula, who was such a great inspiration, even growing up even now, and even with the transition of my mother, she's still like a mother to me. Of course, I had, my pastor and, my school counselor. We had school counselors back then, and, a lot of our teachers, that really, when we grew up and coming through school, really cared and loved what they did. I know we're in a whole different generation. We're dealing with a whole different century of millennials, but we had guidance counselors. We had school counselors. And even as we were at our 30th class reunion, one of the speakers was one of our teachers, which was amazing. And our advisor, they were also present. So I had a lot of people that was great influence. My brother-in-law, Alex, so many different people were great influences in my life.
Okay. Well, hey, I'm glad that you had a good number of people who was a good influence on you, because I think that's important with a lot of young people growing up today. So how did the idea come about to write a book? Did you always have the idea to be a book author, even growing up?
No. I went to school in PA, went to Harrisburg Area Community College, which is now a university, which was amazing because last summer I was able to go back because it is a university and speak to a group of 100 people as the keynote speaker. So that was a blessing to see where the community college is now a university.
Right.
But no, growing up, wanting to be a lawyer. And so, things shift and change, but whatever God's plan is, growing up there, worked for the government, worked for, prior to moving here, Blue Cross Blue Shield for 5 years prior to moving here. So yeah, it wasn't, and I believe what's in you will come out in the appointed time, the set time and season. But how I became of writing the book, one of the books was living here in Maryland. My book will be almost 5 years now. But anyway, coming down for one Saturday morning, my 5 a.m. prayer, asking God for a project to be a blessing to ministry, to be a blessing to my pastor and first lady, and to be a blessing to others. And, walked in the kitchen, opened the door to the deck, and there was a tree in my yard, saw the tree, and it had changed colors. And he said, the Lord, clearly put it in a book. He gave me the title, The Power of the Seed. And so right then, I just began to draw, the roots of the tree and all that, sent it to my buddy who was a graphic designer. And then from there, it was moving forward.
Okay. Well, I didn't know you was going to be a lawyer, so now I know if I got a problem, I know who to call now.
Got to get that look past the bar, finish school in that area, but God's plan. But it's never too late.
You're right, absolutely. When you wrote both of your books, what has both books meant to you since you've come a long way since writing them?
Well, The Power of the Seed, of course, because that was God birthed that in me. And of course, that was my first book, and that's always going to be your first love. It's meaningful too, and also was dedicated to my mother, because right before my book was released, my mother had transitioned, and so of course it was dedicated to my mother. Like I wrote in one of the interviews, I could hear her saying, never quit. And so I told someone, sharing on my radio show, quitting is not an option. And the thing about it is because that's been such a part of me, even before being one of the co-authors of Soulful Prayers, which both of these books are divine assignments. And, so Power of the Seed, and because I walk in it and I teach that, and it is a part of me, as well as Soulful Prayers, because I am a prayer warrior, I am an intercessor. And so the book with Soulful Prayers, that the visionary Miss Cheryl Pelote Williamson and all these amazing 52 authors, me make 53, that came together under this divine assignment to put together a 6-month project, with Soulful Prayers. But then God gave me the revelation of, and because I love prayer and prayer is part of who I am, He allowed me to see a revelation of connecting power and prayer together, knowing that prayer has the power, and there's power in prayer. So both of these books mean a lot. And now, knowing that I was able to be favored and blessed to have them in the library, it means a lot, because someone is always going to be reading The Power of the Seed. Someone is always going to be reading Soulful Prayers. And it's going to be an effect to so many people nationally, globally. And so they both mean a lot to me.
I wanted to ask you, so with so much going on out here in the world, and, there's so many, especially with the young generation, there's people out here they're really in need of God and the positive spirit of an influence. What could you say for people out here that's really in need of God and in need of a good leadership of someone?
Prayer and faith will always work together. And a lot of times we have to be able to have mentors and people that can mentor. You need a good mentor. You need a good shepherd and leader. Like, I thank God for an awesome pastor and, a group of people even at my church that are, leaders and mentors. Not only that, to be able to have someone pour into you. And not only that, but for an individual or individuals to pull what's in you out of you. And you've got to connect with people that has your best interests at heart. But number one, it's going to take even a relationship with God. It's going to take prayer. It's going to take faith. And then you need people that can help you to mature and to grow and develop.
Absolutely. And I like I said earlier, I really think it's important that, and this is something that came from a lot of people I've talked with through my interviews, even with David Miles, who talked about leadership, finding somebody to be a good leader and somebody to really, take the wheel to try to give somebody good influence and good positivity is really important. Dominique Brightman even has a sign in his car that says "No negativity allowed." So I think that's really important. What are your plans for the new year, going into a new decade?
Well, I'm excited. Soulful Prayer Volume 2 will be out in 2020. And also my workbook, The Power of the Seed Workbook, a guide to help you with your seed, will be out in 2020. So I'm really excited about those two projects. And I have a number, of course, my radio show that I just started several weeks ago. It's called The Power of Influence with Dr. E on Power 4.4 Radio. Download the app Live 365 and look for Power 4.4. I do a show from 9 p.m. to 11 to encourage people, to inspire people. So I look for greater things with that segment in 2020, as well as part of the Entrepreneurs Conference, and, looking forward to going to Dallas for the book launch and book signing and the orange carpet with Soulful Prayer. So I have a lot coming up and focusing on my other book that will also be coming out in 2020. My next season is Due Season, dealing with the preparation and process of getting one from one season to the next.
Okay. All right. You got any upcoming book signing events coming up towards your recent book or when your new one come out?
Actually, I'm waiting on some confirmed dates, and I look forward to doing that, my next upcoming book signing. So just waiting on the confirmation and confirming dates. And, I have things lined up. So just looking forward to the confirmation and the confirming of the date, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Excellent, man. So what do you love? I'm sure this question is kind of out of left field, but since the holidays are coming up, what do you love about Christmas time?
Well, and it's amazing because today I write a inspirational word on the board in the administration office, as well as I sent out an email to 39 and actually 40 people now. I started out just responding. Next thing you know, I end up with it, but it was okay because they look forward to that. And so I sent out an email and said, in this season, as we're approaching the holiday season, love, joy, and peace, we've got to spread it. We got to share it. But do as the Prince of Peace, the wonderful counselor, because he is love, he is peace, and we've got to share that. And especially during this holiday season with so many emotions and so much going on, and if people have lost loved ones, or you beginning to think about loved ones, whether it was yesterday or whether it was 5 years, you deal with so much. But we've got to learn to embrace and spread the love, spread the joy, spread the cheer, and our faith, and just the celebration of loving one another and helping one another. But I wrote the last of the sentence, said, no distractions, but because you hold the pen, continue to write the script.
Okay, there you go. And my last question for you for the night is, so, in lieu of everything that we've talked about, what advice would you give someone who, wants to be a book author, as we mentioned earlier, someone that's in need of a good leader or finding God? Like, what advice would you give someone or have given someone?
One, it's always going to start with prayer. It's always going to start with faith. It's always going to start with, as one of my mentors, and she's like a mother, mentor, aunt, she's like all of that in one, Miss Cheryl Williamson, who is the visionary of Soulful Prayers. The thing about it is you've got to write it. You got to do your research. You got to get a mentor, but then you got to put in the work. And if you want to write a book, get someone in your circle who is an author. Get someone who can help you and guide you. Go to the library. I was at the library last week, had to do some corrections, for the workbook, but I went to the library, had to spend some time there. And
right.
It's so amazing because I had to laugh. God is so amazing because I needed my book, and I end up signing my book out in the library. I was like, wow. Now this right here to know that my book is in the library. I just smiled and it just made me laugh. But I had to spend some time, but I had to put in the work, had to get my corrections and be on time with whatever, that they're asking. But you've got to put in the work. And I have a motto that I say, you've got to work the vision and build the brand. Press, push, and pursue purpose. But if you don't write it, if you don't put in the work, if you don't do the research, if you don't do anything to help, it'll never go anywhere. I say this as I taught a vision board workshop. You can have this vision board. You can write all you want, post everything, every picture, but if you do nothing with it, nothing will happen. I have 2 of them, and I go over them. I look at them, and I mark stuff off, but then I'm adding stuff, and I'm praying over it. And as stuff is unfolding, I know I got to put in work. If I want to open up, my Power Cafe, that is going to happen. I got to do the research. I looked at a building. You got to put in the work. If you were moving to an apartment, or to a home, you've got to go out and look. You got to get the box. You got to do the necessary work. And so if I wanted to write a book, I got to do the necessary work. I've got to write it. You've got to put the pen to writing. You got to do the research. And then with anything, make sure stuff is, like I tell people, make sure stuff is in writing. Like with all my clothing line and all that, it's in documentation down at the state office building. My book. It's in the archives, and you got to make sure stuff is, because you may have a vision, an ideal, and somebody may just say it, may think of it, and they have it in right. There's nothing you can do about it. So make sure you do the work. Make sure you do the research, but then you just got to write it. You got to do it. Absolutely. If it's in you, do it. You want to open a business, do it.
I got to tell you, Eric, man, you gave some really powerful quotes and a really powerful message tonight, man. Have you ever considered being a minister?
I am actually an ordained elder.
Oh,
and then I got my doctorate in Christian education.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna try to locate your church. Maybe somebody may want to come locate your church and.
Oh, come on, Bethel Temple Church of Christ, 3910 West Rogers Avenue. Listen, it is definitely a place where God reveals His glory. You will enjoy it. We have worship. We love. My pastor teaches that. The word is taught and wonderful fellowship. So anytime you want to come, Sunday morning service, 10:30, 3910 West Rogers Avenue, Bethel Temple Church of Christ. Go on the website, www.beth-eltemple.org. And we love visitors.
You heard him, folks. Come on down and get the word from Brother Eric, because he will deliver a powerful message just like he has tonight, man. And listen, I hope at some point, because when I can, I do go in places like Barnes and Nobles. I hope at some point I go in there and I see your book in there as well.
Yes. If people even want to order Amazon, Barnes and Noble, I tell people, even if you can't, and it's in the libraries. You can go to Enoch Pratt Library, and I'm blessed to have Baltimore County. The Power of the Seed is also in Baltimore County Libraries, 19, 22 in Baltimore City, 8 in Dauphin County and PA, as well as Westminster Carroll County Library. And Soulful Prayers is in the Enoch Pratt Baltimore City Libraries, and it's going to definitely be in the rest of them as soon as I get to those so I can take it. I've already, done the necessary work. I'm established. And then also, let me leave this with you. Make sure your integrity, your credibility, and your character, because it will take you a long way in life. And build relationships. I got that from my mentor, Miss Cheryl Pillow Williamson. You got to build relationship. Don't even start asking people. Build a relationship. Be a servant, as even the word says, and the greatest among you shall be servant, because the scriptures clearly says that your gift will make room for you, and it'll put you before great men. So let God do the work. Let God be God and let the word do the work. Your gift will make room for you. Just let God do it. You don't have to try to, be someone else. Be you and who He's called you to be. And so your character, your integrity, your credibility, your accountability, it will take you a long way in life.
Absolutely. Eric, you're giving a very powerful message, man. I'm there with you, man. I'm sure when people hear this podcast, they're gonna be with you as well, man. Because I'm telling you, man, you between your books, your messaging, and people got to come down to the church and see you, man. I'm telling y'all gonna have fun with this guy, man. I had a blast when I met him through Dominique at one of the Toastmasters events a year ago, and Dominique was saying, "You're somebody that's gonna be our next president."
Wow. And so, yeah, I just want to, encourage, inspire, and uplift. And if you even have time this week, of course, for my show, I'm actually going to be doing it from 6 to 8 this Friday. So you're welcome to stop in. You're welcome to call in. But it would be an honor and a pleasure as to share with you as iron sharpens iron, and we are helpers one to another. I am my brother's keeper, and this is what it even in this season, and not just this season, but all season, but definitely during this season of love and, thinking about what Christmas and what the holidays mean, but that we are to help one another, love one another, help one another, esteem even one another higher than ourselves, because in the words of my former pastor, the late Apostle Evans, said it like this: what you make happen for others, God will make happen for you. So let's help one another. Let's love one another. Let's appreciate and value one another. Let's push one another's vision and dreams, because when you do it for them, God will in turn do it for you.
Absolutely. Eric, thank you for taking the time to be a part of my podcast, man, and giving such a powerful message, words of encouragement. And I look forward to your new book coming out. Maybe you can come back and do another podcast to talk about your latest book once it comes out and hit the shelves.
Absolutely. And I look forward, because I'm so excited about, because we need prayer in this hour. And so much is going on. This book is intentional communication with God, these intentional prayers. And these are people that live through, so it's going to help somebody else to be able to know prayer still works. There's power in prayer. Prayer is the key. Prayer is critical, and prayer is crucial.
Absolutely. Eric, thanks again for coming on, man. And folks, we'll be back after this commercial break.
Victor Kayam, what's the ultimate shaving gift?
The Remington Microscreen Ultimate. Its 2 screens shave as close as a blade, or your money back. No other shaver makes that promise.
Now I know why he bought the company.
Remington.
Well, YouTubers, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for tuning in this week for PE Slick Podcast. I'm your host, Ranger Matt, signing off. Until next time, you have a good night now.